Brilliant. Okay, so Vikki, can you tell us a little bit about the program that you have been developing online for further education teachers?
Yeah, you're probably talking about the enhanced digital teaching platform. What's important to remember is that the enhanced teaching professional platform is interface professional sort of platform, which is underpinned by the digital teaching professional framework. Now, the framework was launched in November 2018 and was a partnership and collaboration with JISC. It builds from the 6 elements of digital capabilities from JISC, as well as the professional standards from the Education and Training Foundation, as well as the framework from the European Commission, which is a DG EduComp.
Okay.
The framework, I don't know if you have a copy, I'll be able to send you one. It has 7 key competencies which are aligned on the teacher's journey, but it's not meant to be taken in a linear manner. It's more aspirational, and it's got 3 key stages. First of all, stage 1 is about exploring, being curious, and the stage 2 is looking at starting to adopt EdTech within your pedagogic approaches. And the 3rd stage is about leading and sharing practices, making recommendations, critiquing what EdTech may be more appropriate for a specific learning outcome, learning context, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the platform itself, as I said, helps. I mean, the framework helps to define what good means within the sector when you embed EdTech. So it's meant for us to have a common understanding of what it means to embed EdTech within our practice, as well as offer a developmental pathway for practitioners to embed digital capabilities within their practice, and then, of course, to improve the learner experience and the learner's employability outcome.
Okay.
So that they become lifelong learners.
So, I mean, I guess these agendas have been ongoing for a long time. We've both worked on projects, on staff development projects for quite a long time. So, what's the rationale for this approach, and what's so different about this particular approach that you're leading at the moment?
Well, the model was informed through our training needs analysis in the sector, which took place in 2017 and published just in November 2018. This was the training needs analysis showed a clear need for training on how to embed new technologies within pedagogical practices. It was also informed through our study on barriers and enablers to the embedding of learning technologies in the delivery of learning, teaching and assessment in the further education sector. Now, the main barriers that were identified were time. So time is a major barrier, which explains why we've decided to have Enhance, which is really structured around bite-sized learning module that can be accessible just in time from anywhere at any time, any device as well. So it's mobile-first design and adaptive, responsive. We've removed all the barriers within Enhance, so it's friction-free and free access. So you don't need to sign up to be able to access the training. You can just benefit from it. Obviously, if you do sign up, you're going to benefit from a more personalized learning experience. And you'll be able also to collect achievement badges. That was one of the enablers that we also find out. Staff want to have recognition systems in place to recognize their progress on that developmental pathway, and rewards. So we thought that the just-in-time would help the reward recognition model with the badges, as well as the fact that it's micro-learning. So it's tiny, and therefore it can be accessed as and when you need it. We feel that when you learn, it's best to apply straight to where you're learning to have more impact. Difficulty in accessing digital resources and lack of opportunity to share good practice was identified as a barrier as well. And that's why we are very keen on building a communities of practice, actually. And also difficulty of keeping up with new development in digital tech. So that was one of the barriers which was identified. Now, it's important to mention that a lot of the framework and training in the past have focused on digital skills as opposed to rethinking your pedagogic approaches. And really what we wanted to do is when I came into post, I did an in-depth positioning review to really understand the landscape and the environment, and both micro and macro environments where we sat. And the further education sector is gigantic. It's broad, it's varied, it's extremely diverse in terms of providers. But the commonality amongst all of us is pedagogy. And therefore, we decided to approach a framework and enhance from a pedagogic viewpoint, from a pedagogic lens. So we're not so much talking about how to use Padlet, for instance, but instead, how can Padlet be embedded in your pedagogic approach so that it's going to enhance collaboration, communication, etc.
Okay, so that all sounds brilliant, very attractive. Like you say, you're meeting your particular core group of users. You're meeting their needs directly, having done the analysis, etc. So apart from being informed by this training needs analysis and your overview of the landscape, were there any other theoretical frameworks or models that you used to inform your learning design?
Yes, there were, and I should have mentioned just early on that also we have adopted a user-centered design process. So for the framework, for instance, we had 5 levels of consultation, and we had an advisory group where a member from each of the association within the further education sector was present, so that they could make recommendations to make sure that their specific pathway was needs were met. So in terms of theoretical frameworks, she enhanced really a digital teaching platform, integrates aspects from associationist, which I always find difficult to pronounce, situative, and both cognitive and social constructivist themes. Associationist because we have broken the learning content into small bites. So each module is really built and there is a development pathway, both vertical and also horizontal. And each module has an introduction, a small video or animation, a formative or learning activity, formative or summative exercise, a reflection, as well as a summary and further resources so that you can take the learning further. It's got a very logical deconstruction of knowledge and skills into progressive and well-paced sequences of learning content, as recommended by Kanye. This approach is not only constructivist because it's building on knowledge and skills through the association of bottom-up. So I've mentioned earlier on the stages 1, 2, and 3 that we've adopted, but we also ensure that all the material is relevant and therefore the activities are taken from real context and real practices from teachers, shared practices. So it's very similar to Barab and Dafi's practical fields. So we by adding a situative perspective to the learning object, we enhance the learning and teaching. And we are very keen to also foster over the next 24 months collaborative learning through communities, I should say, of practice, where educators can share their reflection on how the training has impacted on their teaching and learning practices, but also share some resources that they have developed as a result from the training. And we are therefore looking at to offer discussions and debates to look at the strengths and weaknesses of a particular tool or edtech or pedagogical approach within a given learning context or learning aim. So we feel that this would be a good evidence of the cycle of cope that we've embedded, where reflection is used to expand learning. And we really see 21st century education as a networked learning environment, providing maximum opportunities to expand learning and collaboration and communication, of course.
That's brilliant, Vikki. It sounds like you've really kind of thought through all the different aspects of e-learning approaches that have been recommended over the years, and it sounds brilliant. I would really appreciate if you could forward the links to some of those studies and alignment with different theoretical studies that we can kind of add to this interview so that people can follow through, and also the links to enhance so people can explore your resources for themselves. And I'm sure you appreciate feedback from anyone who's actually viewing this webinar as well. So we'll add your contact details onto the resource and make sure that everyone's aware and able to access it. Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, Vikki. All right.
Goodbye.